Alright, so on relation to the penalty, Dr. Lashley actually was in the forum and he made a couple of comments similar to what you're making as it relates to the penalty for Chapel having to miss 3, then you had to write the 2-page paper. But some students didn't take too kind into that. So Dr. Pastor Lafleur, I'm just going to have you read what one student made right here. It's the one with all the laughing faces.
It says, madness. I'm not doing that at all. I'm an evening student. I barely make it to class and don't need to do any paper or equivalent exercise. For that, I'll do for chapel. Hell's no. Whoever making these decisions need to come up with something better. I hope I don't come across rude, but this is utter nonsense. The issue is, just as Pastor John, I want to reiterate what Pastor John would have highlighted. At no time there was ever a discussion about a fee. At no time at the administrative level. There was never a discussion about a fee as a penalty for non-attendance of chapel. I also want to point out that while it may not have been part of the culture, rigidly upheld at USC, as Pastor John would have mentioned as well, at chapel is integral to a student's life at a Seventh-day Adventist university. I should also hasten on to point out that chapel is not just for students, but the entire university community, inclusive of me, the president, and all administrative officers, staff are required to be at chapel. So it's not just for students. But we understand that we do not necessarily run one of the traditional Adventist schools where all the students live on campus and all the students primarily are of the Adventist heritage, etc. And students who work or who may not necessarily have to be on campus on a given Monday, there is something called chapel exemption that can be sought. And for chapel exemption, for the upcoming semester, you have until the end of January to apply for your chapel exemption. I'll give you the date. You have until the end of January to apply for your chapel exemption.
So you would apply for chapel exemption from the starting of the semester.
Yep.
Alright. As it relates to the exemption forms though, I'm gonna make you read a post that a student posted as it relates to exemption forms.
Great. So exemption forms, I think, were always available throughout the semester for chapel. All of a sudden students can't access them anymore. This is incorrect. There has always been a cutoff point for the uplifting of chapel forms. What had happened was that there was not the recording of chapel attendance for a number of years here at USC. Now that we have resumed the recording of chapel attendance, you can now pick up your chapel exemption forms. And the student goes on to say, so for students who get through with jobs now where something comes up like an emergency, you have no exemption to get. That's not so. That's totally not so. If during the course of the semester, at the close of the period for you to turn in your chapel forms, you legitimately secure employment, as university students, you could understand that you must bring evidence of that. And no one here is going to be irrational and not grant a chapel exemption. I think what we need to foster is a culture of dialogue and logical thinking. If you secure a job after the chapel exemption period has been the forms go out, you simply come and say what has happened and your case would be evaluated. I want to see what the penalty is for making it, because chapel, I've decided to work as an okay, the student says, I want to see what the penalty is for not making it to chapel because I decided to work at an inconvenient time to the student development office. I want the student to understand that the student development office really closes at 9 o'clock in the night and opens some as early as 7 o'clock in the morning. And again, I think we need to have a very frank and open discussion rather than just coming to conclusions. You come and you state intelligently what is your situation, and an adjudication is going to be made. And once again, I want to state that there's help at student development from as early as 7 in the morning to as late as 9 p.m. each night. And I think we're one of the most open offices as it relates to helping students.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. Be sure to check out the other videos on this discussion where Pastor and Pastor go more in depth with some of the questions that were posted on the forum. Also, want to just big up one right here. Inspiration, guys, coming out November 27. Be sure to get your tickets now. They're still on sale. Also, guys, be sure to check out Jason's benefit concert. The Battle Is Not Yours in November 20th, happening at the New Building Auditorium. It's going to be a night of praise and worship. I don't know what else the flyer says, so just the flyer is just going to be somewhere on the screen right here.